people of the internet, and welcome back to my channel. Alright, so I was thinking to tell you all a different story. So I'm gonna tell you a story about my life when I was working on the cruise ships. I'm gonna try to remember and tell you some funny stories, like, you know, how I got there, what I was doing, and, you know, just like what was it like. And I'm gonna try to add some photos and some videos to this story. Yeah, so back then I had no smartphone, no nothing, so it was like, you know, a long time ago. So all the videos and pictures are gonna be a shitty quality, so be prepared for that. Yeah, so first we have to go back in time a little bit. We have to go back till like 2010. Yeah, so it all started in Budapest in 2010. My dad showed me an article in the newspaper about, like, you know, you can apply to work on a cruise ship. And yeah, I went to the agency in Budapest, and yeah, I had to do some different kind of trainings. It took me like 2 months or even more, I don't remember, and shitloads of money. But this training was like basically useless, you know. So you were I applied for a job to be a waiter, you know, on a cruise ship, but like what they taught us in that training had nothing to do with working on a cruise ship. So that was like completely useless. They even put me on like an English course as well. So, but anyway, I don't really want to get into that. That's a whole different story. Yeah, so the time has passed and I finished the training, passed it, and that was the day when the interview came. And this man from Miami, and he was just, you know, making the interviews for different countries around in Central and East Europe. And yeah, the interview was also pretty easy, so it was not hard to pass it. And after that, yeah, that was me. Like, I had only a couple of weeks left after I passed the interview to actually finish all the, like, you know, finish the visas, visa application, get the medical stuff sorted. In all fairness, okay, this company, this agency in Budapest, they were very helpful, you know. So they were the one, like without them, you couldn't just go online and send your CV to a cruise ship that time, you know, and apply for a job. So it's not possible that time. Yeah, so they sorted out all the visas. We got the C1D visa, and yeah, that was me. Like, they booked me a flight from Budapest to Miami in 2010 November. Yeah, all right. So with this C1D visa, arriving to the first time to the US and going through the immigration, it took me a long time. It took me like almost 2 hours waiting. Give this paper, get your fingerprints, get your eyes scanned, all this shit. And yeah, but that was me. They gave me the permission, you know, to enter the US. And yeah, it was like 9 o'clock in the evening. I get out, and there was another few Hungarians with me, but I kind of lost them at that time. So that was me outside the terminal, you know, in Miami airport. And yeah, it was fucking humid, warm, you know. You look around everywhere, big cars like you've seen in the movies and stuff, you know, big taxis, shuttle buses. And I had a list on my contract, you know, that where do I have to go. And yeah, I was trying to look for this shuttle bus. Somehow I managed it. And yeah, they took us to a hotel. It was some sort of nice hotel. It looked like already good, you know, but it turned out that there is like some sort of NASCAR games that weekend in Miami, so this hotel was kind of booked out. So the company, they had to organize us a different hotel, and some people stayed there. We didn't, and they took us to another hotel, and that hotel was actually in literally in Miami Beach. So I'm not kidding, like they took us to this hotel, we went up, we got our room, and yeah, opened the curtain, and then that was it, like, you know, literally the sand, the beach. So yeah, it was pretty good, and yeah, pretty good for free, you know, so you didn't have to pay for it. But yeah, you know, on this contract that time I had like a date, an assigned date for my ship, and it's supposed to be next day, but something happened. So there was some ship was on fire of this company from the Carnival Cruise Lines. I think the Splendor, I'm not 100% sure. So one of the ships were on fire, and they had to you know, sort out all the stuff and crew who was already working on it. And so that's why the whole thing just got messed up. So they couldn't actually accommodate us on a cruise ship, on a ship, like which I supposed to be on next day, you know. But I thought I'll be working from tomorrow, you know. So I had not much money with me. I had only like, I think, $150 US with me. But you know, we were a couple of us, Hungarians, girls, guys, and yeah, so you know, what can you do? We just went down to the pool. Sometimes we went to the liquor store. Yeah, we spent shitloads of money in the liquor store, and we were just waiting, and we had to make lots of phone calls. We were waiting, like, you know, which day are we able to actually sign on to a ship. Yeah, so it was a long story there, but it took me 2 weeks. They kept me in 2 weeks in a hotel. Basically, I had no money by the end, you know, because I spent it all in the liquor store for beer. And yeah, so after 2 weeks, that was me jump on a shuttle bus and going out to Miami port, and then joining a ship. Yeah. Alright, so basically what I'm gonna do in this video, I'm gonna put it in a few different groups about the things I'm gonna talk about. So first I'm gonna talk about like how it looks like your first day on the ship, you know, when you just actually sign on. And after that I talk about what I was doing as being as a waiter, how it looked like to work in a restaurant in a cruise ship. And after that I'm gonna talk about the life as a crew member. So what can you do, parties, some massive photos and videos will be included on that part of the video. And after that I'm gonna make like a few photos, videos and a few stories about the traveling, like what places I've been to, you know, and what did I do there. Yeah, so basically this is gonna be it. So let's begin. Okay, so that was me, first day on the ship, you know. You got your contract in your hand, with your medical stuff and all this paperwork filled out, and then started the first day. You know, it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and you got like a little paper, kind of like orientation, which was saying all kind of information about that specific ship, a little schedule of what you're gonna do during the first cruise, and yeah, all the important and relevant informations. So like the itinerary, where do you find all the like the crew food area, you know, the crew mess, where you're gonna find your training center, how the internet works, how the phone works. You got your you had to pass, like in a first week you had to pass like a PCS test. That was basically like a safety test, you know, lots of orientations on the first cruise. So you had to go through all kind of trainings, sitting down for like 3-4 hours, and at the end you had to do a little test. Everybody passed it most of the time, you know, so It wasn't too hard. And after that you got your where is it? Yeah, so you got like emergency information of that certain ship. All the codes you have to be aware, like the emergency codes, Alpha Team, Daco Team, Bravo Bravo, all this stuff, you know, like you're not just like a waiter on that ship, you know. You feel like you had a whole lot of other duties as well, you know. So it's not just like, you know, oh, I get on the ship, I'm gonna work in the dining room, and then after that I get back to the cabin, take a shower, go to the crew bar and drink. No, you have shitloads of other duties as well. Yeah, let's say for example, this was in one contract, this was my emergency card. You see, like, I don't know if you can see what other things I had to do. Like basically I was like a lifeboat driver and this kind of things, you know. Obviously not in the first contract, but later on after, you know. Yeah, so back with a little bit about this, like, you know, on the first cruise at the end, when we got back to the first US port, you had to go through like crew immigration. That's when you got like your I-95. It was like a paper with your crew ID, and that gave you the right, you know, to go out in you had to carry it in US ports, basically. So that was like your visa, your passport, some sort, you know. What else, like, you know, in all fairness, there was everything on for crew as well, you know, like you had your crew internet, crew laundry, not like it worked properly or something, but there was some, you know, there was a chance to do everything. Yeah, so, you know, you got your crew meal times, all this kind of stuff in this first orientation paper. And there was like, okay, so after that, let's talk a little bit about how was it like to work as a waiter. Alright, so yeah, so I'm gonna start first with what's it like actually to be a waiter on these cruise ships. I'm not actually gonna get into like the beginning of it, like, you know, because first you don't expect to be, you know, like go in a dining room and serve guests. Like I only seen guests in my first contract when I was delivering orders to room service to the cabins, you know. So till that, before that, you worked in a like in a crew mess area, the staff mess, captain mess. So like all kind of different duties there, you know, fill up the juice machine, fill up the coffee, all this kind of stuff. And then you start to work in room service, which was pretty good. And yeah, that was my favorite, to be honest, especially the night shift as a room service, because like lots of the times it happened like, you know, there was nothing to do basically, so you're just sitting in a room service office and drinking and eating. Yeah, so but I want to get into the more complicated stuff, like basically the dining room area, you know. So there were like a big dining room, and usually there was like a side sitting or the YTD, the your time dining. So that means like, you know, guests can show up anytime, and between, I don't know, what was it, like 5 o'clock and 9:30 or something like that. I can't remember every details, you know. And the other one was the two sittings, you know, so everybody had their card with their table number, the guest, and then they just show up, and that's your guest, that's their table for the whole cruise, you know. Yeah, but for this was the night time, you know, the dining room. For daytime, I was working in basically on the little deck. That's like the buffet on the top of the ship, and that's like most of the people who didn't have any side jobs, they were just cleaning tables after the guest, you know. Get your tray, clean up the shit, and then bring it back to the galley. And sometimes in the galley, in the kitchen, you had to stand there, you know, separate the cups, separate the cutlery. Very dirty and messy place, you know. And sometimes, like, you know, we check in the morning, let's say 6:30 in the morning on a little deck, like 15 of us for the first team, and then everybody get their job by the supervisor. And if you got a certain side job, like I had later on, then you were really lucky that you didn't have to go and clean tables and this kind of stuff. So when I had like a side job, I was on like a beverage station. Best side job ever, because as far as you do your job, no one really bothers you, you know, like no one really knows where you are as far as they see that, you know, the juice machine is filled up, the coffee machine is alright, the milk, everything is good. When all of these things are sorted, then, you know, you just go and do your job. Sometimes the supervisor don't even see you for 2 hours, but knows that, you know, you're kinda doing it right, because, you know, everything is okay. Yeah, and after that you had like a lunch shift, or if you didn't have, because we were in a port, then you had lunch off. So then you were able to leave the ship, go wherever you want. And after that, you basically had to go back in your own time to the main dining room and prepare your station outside of working hours for later on for the dinner service. So that was fucked up. Like, I had to go there and hide everything. You had to go and hide water pitchers. You had to go and hide butter dish. You had to go and hide, I don't know, steak knife, peppermill, all this kind of stuff, bread baskets, fucking hell, napkins, like it's a mess. Some ships were like this, and then later on I worked on a ship where we were not allowed to go to the dining room and prepare the stuff before the working hours, before the roster, you know. But it's like, it's a complete disaster. Like, you went down, let's say 2 o'clock, and the dining room in the evening only opens like 4:30 or something, and you go down 2 o'clock, and you see already 15 people, assistant waiters are already hiding everything. So, oh my god, disaster. And then, yeah, so let's say you are prepared, and the the dinner starts. The kitchen was a huge kitchen. And as soon as you get your order from the docket, from the head waiter, you know, when you took the orders, you have to go in the kitchen, pick up the different stuff, like get in a queue for the main course, the starters, the cold, the hot appetizer, and then after that, you know, the main course and then the dessert. Yeah, and after that, oh my god, a funny story, like, I remember first night I ended up in the dining room, and there was like sliding doors from the kitchen to go inside the main area, and I was carrying this big tray, and when I carried the tray, I was like, Jesus, this sliding door is just like going like choo 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 like this. So I went inside, fucking hell, I stepped in, I managed it, I was like, oh, very good. I turned back, and then somehow I lost my balance and then dropped everything on the floor. So messy. There was another side job I really loved. That was the chocolate buffet, and to set up like the lunch, like after the breakfast, to set up everything for lunch. That was really good. It was one of the best mamagayo job. Mamagayo means on the cruise ship, on the crew language, means like you're kind of doing something, but not really. You're only doing it when somebody sees you. So that was like basically a good way of killing time and not to work hard, because you don't have to work hard. You work too hard, they give you more job. That's it, you know. So don't work hard, just work smart. That's what I was doing. And yeah, that side job was really good. And after that we had like a big chocolate buffet there. I think I have some photos about it. and yeah, you had to stand there and cut cakes for the people and serve them. It was really good, you know, easy peasy. And there's another thing I have to tell you about, like cleaning on the ship. Like there was like USPH, United States Public Health. They could visit any of the cruise ships twice a year, and it's a surprise, you know, so you don't know when are they gonna board the ship and when they're gonna inspect all the areas about cleanliness, safety and all this shit. But the only thing we knew that they can only come in a US port. So, you know, when you have a week-long cruise and you start in Miami and you come back to Miami, and between that you only go to, I don't know, Mexico, Belize or Jamaica or this kind of places, then back to Miami, then you're fine, you know exactly that you have to do a special cleaning just before you go back to Miami, the night before, you know. We had like a 3-bucket system, very important, you know, the 3 buckets, and we had to do the cleaning according to that, everything sanitized, plates to check out with clean plates, everything wiped, air dry. Oh my god, lots of different kind of side jobs. Sometimes you had to clean a fucking escalator with a little brush. Imagine someone coming up from the galley and during dinner service and dropped something on the escalator. Then that was your side job. So you had to fucking clean it, and oh my god, so much headache of that. You know, like it's your roster says like you finish 9:30 in the evening, but if it's a night before US port, then you're not out before 11 or 11:30. You know, you have to wait till your last guest leaves and then start the special cleaning. But the lucky thing was that, you know, as soon as they inspected the ship once, after that, for a couple of months, you were alright, you know, so you don't really have to be afraid after that. Oh yeah, the other thing is the show time. So Carnival, they called it as a fun ships, and they called it a fun ship for a reason. So there were lots of different activities for guests, you know, like different theme nights and pool parties, all kind of dance shows, musician, magic shows, all this stuff. And they even made like what's it called, like tower animals. So for the guests, like the housekeeping stuff, they were making tower animals in the pool, in the cabins, all of this stuff. And yeah, the show time. So, you know, like you were in the dinner service, and between the main course and the dessert there was like a show time. So we had to dance, we had to sing. Imagine me dancing on the side stand and singing fucking all this kind of stupid songs.
Megmutatom azt, hogy dolgozunk.
Oh my god, and some people really enjoyed it. I have a few videos about it, as you can see, but I did not enjoy that all. Yeah, but you know, guess they enjoyed it and they paid for it, you know. Okay, anyway, that's all about the showtime and like working as a waiter. So let me tell you a few stories about how is it to be a crew member, like crew parties, and what's your daily life, or you know, the nightlife looks like, nightlife on the ship. Yeah, so this were the name tags, you know, on the for crew members. So this was my usual name tag, and once I was this as well. Yeah, so the name tag, you had to wear it all the time. When you were working, obviously, on your uniform. When you were not working, so you know, you went to crew bar or something, you had to wear the name tag or the crew ID. I don't have that one, you know, I had to give it back. You also had all kind of different cards. You had like a sail and sign card, which was the same for guest. You see? So this card you were using to purchase things in the crew bar. In the beginning, for my first contract, we had to pay in cash. After that, they introduced these cards, the same for guest, and then I was paying with this one. You didn't have to actually carry it, because in the crew bar they had a machine. They just put in your folio number, and after that, you know, they know what you buy. And there are different kind of like an ATM or something, you know, on the crew area. You swipe it or you put it in, I don't remember how is it, and then you just transfer money on it. Put the cash in, you know, like kind of like deposited money on these cards, like literally like a bank cards, which only works on the ship. You know, you can use it in the gift shop or this kind of stuff. After a while in the crew bar, they already knew my folio number, so I don't even have to carry this thing, and I don't even have to mention my folio number, because I was a regular. Yeah. We had the bank card, nice ship logo with it, and everybody's name was the same, which was my Carnival Pay. So in the bank card you did not have your actual name on it. I had so many issues about this JP Morgan bank card back in, like, you know, when you got your salary on this basically. And when I went home to Hungary on my holiday, on my vacations, and then, oh my god, so many issues. What I wanted to say, yeah, so a few things about the cabin, you know, the crew cabin. Obviously it was a very small thing, like a very small basic cabin with basic amenities and basic stuff, you know, like a bunk bed, a sink, and on other ships, like in the first one it was like so shitty. We had to share bathroom and toilets. We was the end of the corridor, and fucking like the corridor was sharing it. That was an odd ship. But the other ones I was working on, basically two cabin, so like 4 people were sharing the bathroom and the toilet, you know. So that was fine, you know, that not too bad. I have a few photos about the cabin, and yeah, so the cabin, you know, very small. They had like cabin checks for safety, for cleaning, in completely random times. So you kinda knew that which day, but like what time you didn't know, so you had to be careful, you know, not leaving much of cans or bottles in your cabin what you bought to the crew back. Yeah, so but mi a faszomot csinál? Csak bazd meg. Csak ez videó, bazd meg. Kapcsold már két a köcsöt.
Hogy csókolozom?
Tele van, bazd meg, megint a szemetes.
Mutasd meg, hogy csókolozol a Pringles-tel.
Nincs több Pringles, bazd meg.
Szedjed össze, bazd meg.
Szedi a faszom. Figyelj.
Hallod?
Adj ide egy ilyen henget.
Az a rossz.
Engem.
Szeretnék én lenni a csomó.
Igen.
Az
Mit
Oli.
akarsz?
Igen. Ez kurva jó.
Edd meg utána.
Ez milyen jó videó lesz. Igen.
Megeszed?
Milyen vagy?
It's like the cabin. There were like loads of different. There was like a big, like a whole corridor in the first level. I don't know how you say that. On the first deck on the ship. That was called I-95. They called it because of the big I-95 motorway or intersection. I don't know what's that called in the US, in America. They call it after that. And that was like the crew area, you know, with you walk through like a little door or something, and that's the crew area. You had like different kind of CTC as a training center, the crew mess, all kind of food areas, the crew library, the crew internet place, and the crew gym. Sometimes the crew bar was on the same level, sometimes the crew bar was up on a different deck with a smoking area, crew smoking area obviously. And yeah, but back to the crew bar, because that was like, I spent loads of times in the crew bar. Basically, all my contracts, all the 5 contracts I've done, every single day we went to the crew bar. There was literally only a few days I did not go to the crew bar. Otherwise, you know, what can you do? Like, I wasn't going to the gym, I wasn't going to the library. I was buying internet cards and all this, you know, phone cards. And so, but otherwise, you know, you don't wanna just stay in your cabin and watch movie on your laptop in that little bunk bed on the top of it or on the bottom. You know, it's like no point. There's no TV, nothing in the cabin. Sometimes we had fridge as well. If one of us bought, you know, if my cabin mate bought a fridge or a TV. Yeah, but otherwise, otherwise you just went to the crew bar, and there were all kind of different crew activities. Like you can see, like there was like a Mardi Gras party, there was a Valentine's Day party, there was all kind of different parties organized for the crew. So we were fine, you know, like, but if there was no party, then just went to the crew bar. And you never knew, you know, like you sit down to drink with your 2-3 Hungarian friends or something, and other people you joining you, like Serbians, Croatians, all kind of countries, you know, like there were literally like more than like 60-70 different nationalities of the crew members on the ship, you know. Yeah, drinks were very cheap, so you paid like $1.25 for a bottle of beer, or there were no pints there was on one ship. I remember there was pints, a few drinks. The funny thing was, you know, that there was no way out, no, like, you know, you finished work and you went down to your cabin, you just took the elevator and went down to deck 0 and go to your cabin. And crew bar as well, you know, you walk into a crew bar, you were drinking with your bosses, with your supervisors, with your managers, you know, because everybody liked the drinks, you know. and yeah, so they were all in, and you had to be careful because sometimes there were drug tests, sometimes there was alcohol test. I never got any of this, but like, yeah, we got pissed many times and got caught by security that we drunk and all. But that was fine.